Hey there, everybody. I'm Sean Emery, also known as Mr. Crunchberry. And I've bought into the hype. I can't believe it. I honestly freaking cannot believe it. And it's not because I'm surprised that a Legend of Zelda game finally hooked me again. It's more the fact that out of all the freaking years of getting burned out by hype, burned out by hype for Nintendo games, and just hype for regular games in general, I'm honestly surprised that I'm excited for a game to be released before it launches. And I honestly didn't think that that was ever going to happen again. But here we are, a day before The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild comes out, and not only do I want to get the game, but I want to get the game on the Switch. Congratulations, Nintendo. Your marketing department is doing something right. So as you can probably tell, this is a pretty impromptu video. You can tell by the black bars on the side. I'm not trying to make this widescreen or anything like that. I just wanted to give out my thoughts, and frankly, my YouTube channel's a little dusty. It hasn't made anything in a while, but just wanted to get my thoughts out there because my experience with The Legend of Zelda starts back in 2004, and I wanted to just explain where I'm coming from, what The Legend of Zelda means to me specifically so far as gaming is concerned, and not only that, but just like some of the things that really, as a gamer, influenced my life in 2004, because I gotta be completely honest with you, 2003 to 2005 was probably some of the most influential years when it came to gaming in my life. Now, first and foremost, I feel like one of the things I need to bring up is that one of the reasons why I'm already getting hyped for this, before I start talking about my story, is because of a video that I saw my buddy, Joey Ferris, actually make over on Commonwealth Realm. Go ahead and check out that freaking video, because let me tell you something, if you want a hype trailer, that's a freaking hype trailer. And it's not just, okay, it's not a hype trailer, but it goes into detail for like 30 minutes straight about the development cycle, what the director did to make Breath of the Wild, and Joey, you did your job, because again, this is cynical me, okay? This is cynic me. Cynic Crunchberry here, being all like, I'm not gonna get hyped for a game. I got burned out with No Man's Sky. I got burnt by Star Fox Zero. I got burnt by Skyward Sword. I'm not gonna get hyped. I'm gonna wait for review scores. I'm gonna wait for your review score, because I'm not gonna trust IGN's review score because they gave Skyward Sword a 10 out of 10. You know, all that stuff. But you guys did it. You guys did it. And I get the feeling that for some people, possibly in the same boat as I am, go ahead and freaking check out that video, okay? Because that will get you excited for the game. So if we're going to talk about my Legend of Zelda story, the first thing that I need to bring up is that the very first Legend of Zelda game that I played was actually Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Back when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And the game actually kind of creeped me out when I was that young. Every time that you died, the flashing lights that would come on the screen, and Ganon showing up with a big old weird face and the whoa, 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 you know, that laugh and stuff, it actually creeped me out quite a bit. Even some of the, I don't know, I even remember being creeped out by like some of the little things that you wouldn't even think of, like the skulls that were like flying around the levels and stuff like that. Just their erratic pattern, and that would scare me sometimes and stuff. So back then, what actually ended up happening was that my parents, because the reason they had an NES was because my dad was the one who was primarily playing the games, but they actually ended up getting rid of not only Zelda 2, but also their copies of Shadowgate and Double Dragon, because actually, I don't know why they got rid of Double Dragon, because Double Dragon didn't creep me out. I think they just didn't like the whole violence thing. I mean, it was like, I mean, my dad had an issue with my sister and I playing Smash Brothers when it first came out. I don't know. Overprotective parents, yeah, I don't blame them. Honestly, I don't. It's like that. My parents are the reason why back in '93 I didn't see some of the stuff that was happening on the computers with Doom. And let me tell you something. If freaking Legend of Zelda was scaring me back then, I can only imagine what kind of nightmares freaking Doom would have given me. So, you know, parents being parents, I totally get it. Fast forward to 2001, late 2001, going into 2002, when Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring came out. That freaking movie, man. That movie is primarily the reason why I got interested in the fantasy genre to begin with. That freaking movie, just with every friggin' thing, the swords, the wizardry, the combat, the music, the settings, just everything. It was unreal to me at the time, especially considering that at the time when I saw that movie, that was still at around the time I was in middle school, I was getting bullied, and it was one of those things where it's like, I don't know, it's like there was something about that was like really appealing to me at the time. From 2002 to 2005, when The Two Towers and The Return of the King came out, I ended up playing some games that not only would I consider some of my personal favorites, but probably some of the most impactful games that I had ever played in my entire life as well. In 2002, on my birthday, I actually got Metroid Fusion, the game which I swear is the first time, outside of getting freaked out as a toddler from Zelda 2, that I genuinely felt fear in a game with the situation that was going on. And then in 2004, I played the first Fire Emblem that came out on Game Boy Advance, and that was the first time that I had experienced the game that's story with the characters and everything. I'm not even honest, man, honest. That was the first time that a storyline and the events that went into it actually made me cry. Because it was like, holy freaking crap, what the hell just happened? It had moments like that. But with me starting to get interested in all this fantasy stuff, both with Lord of the Rings and Fire Emblem and things along those lines, and also getting over Metroid Fusion, all of a sudden I started thinking in my head, hey, I wonder if my parents still have Zelda 2. So keep in mind, 2004 came around, I didn't hear anything about Ocarina of Time. I didn't hear anything about Majora's Mask. I had no idea what was going on because not only was I not interested in what was happening, but, you know, I didn't have Nintendo Power at the time, so I had no idea that any of these games were coming out. And even if they were coming out, it's not like I could buy them myself. So I was a middle schooler, you know? So in spring of 2004, what ended up happening is I ended up staying at this, at a friend of mine's house after school for like an hour or two while my mom was still working, and then she would come to pick me up. I later realized, after finding out that my parents had got rid of Zelda 2, that the friend that I had there had this. For those of you who don't know what this is, this was a promotional item that I think that, I don't know how people got this. I think maybe they got it through Nintendo Power or something like that. The important thing is about this is that this disc, this GameCube disc, has full copies of the original Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and it also has a 20-minute demo of the game that would later be coming out that year, The Wind Waker. And that's where it all started. I started playing Zelda 2. It was, well, I wasn't scared of it anymore. It was a lot of fun. I started playing the original Legend of Zelda, really got into it as well. And then I started getting into Ocarina of Time. And I don't know what caused my friend to do this, but he ended up giving me this. I still thank him to this day for that. I played through all of Ocarina of Time, and let me tell you something. As someone who never got anything spoiled for that game, just the events that led up to it, the final battle with Ganon, I remember literally like shaking from fear with that final boss with Ganon, because especially when the Master Sword gets taken out, because it's like, I remember spending a majority of my light arrows just shooting at him, hoping that it was doing damage, and then it wasn't until after all of my magic had been gone that I was like, oh wait, I have to hit his tail, and I was completely screwed. So that freaking game, man, it's like, I get the feeling like I've been saying that freaking game a lot, but it's like, you've played the game, you know that it still holds up to this day. That freaking battle, the story, the characters, just every freaking thing, man. And you add that on top of me already being interested in just fantasy in general with all the Lord of the Rings movies coming out beforehand, it was a fantastic time to be a gamer just getting into The Legend of Zelda at that time. But then you add that on top of the Wind Waker launching, and holy crap. So I am already considered a huge Legend of Zelda fan at that point, and then you add the Wind Waker when two key things were happening in my life. One, I was just getting into high school and the bullies were gone. So now I finally could feel like I could actually be like, dudes, friends, you gotta check this game out. It is unbelievable. Add that, and then you add that on top of the fact that I got my first iPod at around the same time. And I was downloading music, not only from the game, but also remixes from Newgrounds and everywhere else. People that were making fan creations of remixes of songs. And it was nonstop, man. It was unfreaking believable. I was listening to Zelda music like 24/7 when I was in high school. During that time, the Minish Cap came out. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past came out on Game Boy Advance. I was still listening to music quite often. And then Twilight Princess hit. And Twilight Princess, I'll be honest with you, at the time I liked it a lot. And I still do. I mean, I feel like I'm gushing over these games quite a bit. If I have to be honest, I think that I liked the Wind Waker more than Twilight Princess, but there were still a lot of things about Twilight Princess that I liked. I liked the darker tone that it took with it. Midna was freaking amazing. I loved even the goofy segments, like when you're essentially snowboarding down that mountain to get to that Yeti Palace. Just cool things like that. I liked it a lot. But then a couple of years went by and, you know, I never really got into Spirit Tracks. I never really got into Phantom Hourglass. And then Skyward Sword hit and I don't friggin' know, man. It was like, yes, I saw that everybody was giving it like all this high praise, 10 out of 10, and it's like, that's one of the reasons why I'm so cynical about some of these sites now giving Breath of the Wild 10s out of 10s, because they did the same thing with Skyward Sword. And the thing that sucked the most about that game was the fact that I heard from every freaking buddy that if you could get past playing the game, the story is actually pretty freaking amazing. And it's like, there may be a time where I go back and do it, but it's like, even the boss battles, man, even the freaking boss battles in Skyward Sword, where it's all like, oh, the main bad guy has, you know, a bunch of arrow spike things or whatever that's circling around him with this one opening. I wonder if that's where I need to attack. It's like dumb stuff like that. And it's like, there really is no other way to put it. It's dumb stuff like that. Skyward Sword to Zelda is what Star Fox Zero ended up being with Star Fox. Tech demo. So if I'm being completely honest, I went a pretty significant amount of time without playing a Legend of Zelda game. It really has been a drought. The last one that I played was A Link Between Worlds, which was phenomenal, but I wouldn't put it in the same category as Ocarina of Time. You know what I mean? The story was good. Don't get me wrong. The story was good. The way that the mechanics were set up was unbelievable. I really liked how a lot of that turned out, especially for a handheld game, but I wouldn't put that on the same platform as Ocarina of Time, you know what I mean? So then we started hearing about Breath of the Wild, and let me tell you, for the longest time, I was not hyped. I was not hyped. I didn't even know if I was interested. I mean, it was Legend of Zelda. It was 13 years, you know, it coming out tomorrow is like, it's been 13 years, 13, 14, since I played Ocarina of Time, and it left that impact on my life. But after getting burned out, not often with Nintendo, but sometimes with Nintendo, you know, look at Star Fox Zero, but then at some other games like No Man's Sky, and I'm obviously not comparing No Man's Sky to Legend of Zelda, but again, uberly hyped game, and it falls flat, you know? It's like, in many ways, it really made me cynical of not only The Legend of Zelda, but just gaming in general. It's like, I think that primarily one of the reasons why I've been so interested and played at so many indie games as of late is because, in many ways, I really don't think that AAA gaming can function the way that it works. It's like, it's way too overblown. It costs way too much to make a freaking game. And oftentimes what usually ends up happening, they get their priorities mixed up. The game looks gorgeous and unbelievable, but it still plays like crap, or even worse, it plays like a game that we already played 10 years ago. But you know what? That opinion has been formed over the last 5-7 years without me playing a Legend of Zelda game that I actually felt was, on par, or at least trying to become something similar to Ocarina of Time. A Link Between Worlds was great, but like I said, I wouldn't put it in... I consider it a fun game, not something revolutionary. And, gaming as a whole has kind of made me a little bit cynical, especially the way that, the internet works nowadays. You hear the worst about companies. You see, crappy things that gaming companies that we used to love do, such as Capcom and Konami and all those other ones. And it's just like, in many ways, even Nintendo isn't immune to some of that criticism. Just look at, their copyright policies on YouTube and stuff. So it's been very hard to look forward to any game and honestly expect the best. It's very hard to look at a game and not immediately think, how are they going to screw it up? Are they going to add microtransactions? Are they going to make it pay to win? It sucks, but it sucks, and maybe it's just something that comes with getting older, which is unfortunate, but it's just like, I almost go into a game or look at a company nowadays where it's all like, where are they trying to screw me? So, I'll be completely honest, me being excited now for Breath of the Wild is actually a huge deal, because it almost feels like a break away from that cynicism. It feels like a break away from feeling that a company is trying to screw me over. It's like, Breath of the Wild feels like I'm going back to Hyrule. And I honestly do say that. It honestly feels like, forget the BS, forget the cynicism, forget, all of the crap that has gone into the games industry as of late and over the past couple of years. Return to the Hyrule that you remember. And let me tell you something. If they pull that off, if they somehow, some way are able to pull that off, it will not only embolden my fandom of Nintendo. At that point, it'll pretty much make it ironclad. At that point, it's all like, Nintendo may go down the toilet, 10 years from now, but, I'll be with them. I'll be with them every step of the way. So, I'm really hoping it turns out. I really do. I don't know if I'm going to buy it on the Wii U. I'll probably end up waiting to get it on the Switch, just because I've heard that it's the superior version. And now that I understand what the Switch is, you can basically take it anywhere. And especially after that freaking indie presentation that they came up with the other day. Yeah, that's all the third-party support I need to get onto this thing. So, I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to get my words out of the way. I really hope this doesn't end up happening, but if Breath of the Wild does end up tanking, I wanted to get my thoughts on here, and just that feeling, just wanted to get on video that feeling that maybe, just maybe, there could be a chance that I could return to that magic that I felt when I played Ocarina of Time for the first time. Maybe we could go back. Maybe we could go back to that point. I hope so. I really hope that's what we end up getting from Breath of the Wild. Whew. Well, here's hoping. Thank you guys for watching. I know that it's been a while since I've uploaded anything, but until next time, I'll see you then. Hey guys, so this is probably going to be the only time I'm ever going to get a chance, unless I upload another video, to tell you guys about this, but hopefully this year I'm going to be doing a lot more stuff on Twitch. And I'm not just talking about video games and stuff like that. I'm actually planning, hopefully, depending on what happens this year, to start doing some creative live streams. Actually start painting on stream. Some of the things that I've done in the past, in case you haven't seen it, like earlier last year, I ended up making this. It's based off of a scene from Undertale, and it's one of the better ones that I made a really long time ago. A really long time ago. It was a year ago. But I ended up making this, and then the one that I'm working on right now is actually based off of a screenshot from Enter the Gungeon. I don't know if you've seen the opening scene from the opening sequence from there we go. Opening sequence from Enter the Gungeon, but I'm actually working on this one right now. Trying to get it so that the glare works. Come on, freaking camera. There we go. There we go. But anyway, I'm working on stuff like that. I'm trying to make everything work out. And like I said, it's stuff that I don't know if anything's going to come of it, but it's just something that I want to do. But I want to be in a position where I don't have to set up and tear down everything when I'm streaming. So, I'll definitely let you guys know when we get the ball rolling on that and when I am able to do that on a more consistent basis. But I just want to let you guys know ahead of time that that's what I'm working on. If you want to stay updated with me, go ahead and follow my Twitter and follow me on Twitch. And until next time, guys, thanks for checking me out.